Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's live, the global energy of the week from March 22nd to March 28th of 2021. So now we move into the week 12 of 2021. And so this is an interesting number. I'll tell you about it in a second. Before, I want to say that we just had in the southern hemisphere is the autumn equinox. So that means that we're now moving into autumn. In the northern hemisphere, if you live in the northern hemisphere, you're now moving into spring. So we have different takes of what happens within us. So there's a little slight difference, okay? For us who live in the southern hemisphere, we're going into autumn. We're going from summer into autumn. So all the light we had in summer, now we starts to dim. So we now start to prepare for the cold months. So we start to kind of close down. The trees start to drop their leaves, and so we start to release, cleanse the stuff we don't need anymore. We start to prepare for the time when we need to come into our caves and close down a little bit. So there's a transition for us. For those who live in the northern hemisphere, it's the opposite. You're coming into the light. You're coming from winter, and now you see finally some plants starting to pop up. You're starting to see little flowers starting to bloom, and it's kind of like you're finally receiving the light. So the dynamics for us are slightly different. However, we are all on week 12, and 12 is a number that has to accept the feeling side of their beings. So if we look at the tarot cards, specifically the esoteric tarot cards, it corresponds to the hangman. So the hangman is seeing the world upside down, but it's upside down, and his feet, even though you see the legs form a number 4 representing the earth, but the foot is hanging from the top representing the heavens. So on week 12, we have a turnaround of everything. Our perspective has to change. And now our perspective is looking from spirit, from the spirit side of our being. So we now have to start connecting more and more to our inner voice, so we can actually start behaving and acting according to our inner guide. Okay, so again, I reiterate that the number 12 has to learn to accept the feeling side of their being in order to bring down that light. So see how that foot, so it's grounded but on spirit. So to be able to receive it, it needs to use their body and start understanding what's going on within them. So if that doesn't happen, number 12 will be a little whingy, will feel like the victim, like things are, why is it so hard for me? So watch yourself and see what you're doing, because perhaps you're not allowing for the messages to come in, and you may be doing things from the personality side of things, rather than allowing your intuition to come in and help you understand and give you a higher perspective. So during this week, we have the possibility to acquire that higher perspective. So last week we were really connecting to our intuition. This week we really need to use that to be able to raise our awareness and start looking at our lives from a different perspective. So 12 and 5 of the year 2021, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 is 5, 12 plus 5 is 17, 8. So So 17 is called in this system, in the esoteric numerology, the Holy Grail. What happens to the Holy Grail is that it's very sensitive and it really needs to accept to be used by the light. And again, every time we use this, the terms are used in an awareness side of things. It doesn't mean that your purpose has to be, you have to do a spiritual job or something, but it's about you connecting to your guide, so you know in what direction you need to move. So your soul is telling you this is the direction we need to move towards. And so when we resist that guidance, we may feel an intensity and it could be really hard. You could feel like you're struggling. So the 17 needs to accept to be used by the light. And so if you feel a little lost, just let it be and trust that you are going to receive the guidance, and the next step will be really revealed. So just go into silence so you can hear that, if you can connect with your intuition, with that inner wisdom, and then you can see the next path, the next step in your path. Now, we don't get the whole journey. We don't get the whole image of what we need to do. We get the next step. So we also need to learn to be a little comfortable with not knowing the whole thing, because our minds want to control everything, and our minds wants to know exactly what's going to happen next. And that's just an illusion. We never know what's going to happen next. So just listen to what is that next step. And as you move towards the next step, the following step will be revealed. So just acceptance is kind of a word that you could perhaps contemplate. Accept whatever is being presented in our lives, and accept that that's the flow and that's the way we need to move forward. So then if we look at the year as a 23, because the 20 plus 2 plus 1 is 23, we get 12 plus 23 is 35, 8. 35 is the inspirational guide, is the coach. So you may see what needs to be realigned, because that number 8 will want us to align to what we came here to do. So there might be things that you might want to finish with. There might be things that need to end. There might be things that you need to kind of adjust, and whatever is not supporting you, you might be able to get rid of it and understand that that is not what you need in this moment in time. So there is a alignment, there is an adjustment, and see what are those things that are disappearing from your life. What are the things that you need to finish? What are the things? What is that new move? And you may be able to finally take action on what you're doing. Okay, so the week starts on the 22nd, and 22 is called the Master Builder. The Master Builder will help manifesting the plan. It's about action and movement, but again the 22 requires for us to connect to our feeling side of our being, because that's how we are going to receive the guidance of what needs to be built. What is that plan? That plan will be given to us through connecting to the feeling side of our being. Now the 22 could be quite stubborn, and so if you see yourself stuck in a mindset, then be aware that you perhaps are stuck on your ego, on your personality, and not wanting to feel, not wanting to accept, not wanting to move forward with what you're being guided. So see if you can tweak that a little bit. Now, if you look at the month, 22 plus 3 is a 25. 25 is the mind connector. It can get get us to move into a transformational healing. So if we are receptive, if we can allow our mind to be receiving the information from our inner guide, we can perhaps achieve some healing for ourselves and the people around us. Now, if you look at the 22 as a 4 and the 4 and 3 is 43, and this number indicates there's a willingness to be used. So again, there's another word that tells us allow to be used by the light. So if you flow, again, if you feel that you're resisting and you're struggling, just stop, take a deep breath, and understand what are those things that are stopping you from moving forward. Perhaps there are things that are presenting in your life that you need to deal with so you can heal them, transform them, and they can disappear. And then move forward with what you've been given. So 25 plus 5 of the year is 30. 30 is, in number 30, our mind is seeking for the vision. So you perhaps are receiving the information of what needs to be done. Perhaps you may feel that a little overwhelmed, thinking it's too much for me. But remember that we can break things down slightly, and so to make it easier and more chewable. So perhaps you receive a vision of what needs to be built. Just break it down in little pieces and just take the first step. Move forward just one step at a time. Now, it's the day gives us a 30, 12, 3, and 12, I already spoke about it. It's giving us a possibility to see life from a different perspective. So again, observe yourself and see whether you are, behaving from the personality side of your being, or if you are allowing yourself to connect and listen to your inner guide. Now, the week ends on the 28th, and the 28 wants us to take a leap of faith. It wants us to be courageous. So it's asking for us to move forward with whatever you know that is the next step in your life. So you may be feeling a little afraid. You may already know what is that direction that you need to move towards, and perhaps it's a bit scary because it's a new path, it's a new direction. It will require for you to leave behind things that you feel comfortable with, but this day is saying to you, just move forward, be courageous, and stand on your 2 feet, do what you know you need to do. Now, 28 plus 3 is the 31 4, and 31 is the flag bearer. So the flag bearer needs to move forward with what they are convinced, what they stand for, and show others the path. So if you think about the medieval wars, where they were, the people, the army were going on horses, there was always someone holding a flag, and that was the one that would indicate to the other soldiers where they needed to go, whether they could move ahead or if they had to go backwards and so on. This was the flag bearer. So the flag bearer wants you to move forward. It has kind of a warrior kind of attitude, because it needs endurance, it needs to persist, it needs to be convinced of what it wants to create. And so again, saying be courageous. And so sometimes, this is what stops us, because how do we move from being full of fear into letting go and accept? And again, see, this is where we need to connect with our inner guide, and we need to trust and see what is the path that is helping us moving forward with ease. If we're struggling, if we are fighting against the flow, we know that we're doing something that is not helping us. So on that same day, we also have the full moon in Libra. So in this day, we'll need to use our feelings and take our feelings into consideration before we make a final choice. So again, there is a theme of connecting with our feeling side of our being and understand what is it that we're guided to do. It cannot be all from our minds, because our minds are very limited. Our bodies, our personalities can only see so much, while spirit has a master plan for us. And if we don't listen, we cannot align to what, to that bigger plan we need to achieve. So in this week, I encourage you to connect a lot, to listen to your body, see whether you are feeling anxious, whether you are feeling sad, whether you're feeling confused, and ponder upon your emotions to see what's happening within, what wants to be born out of what is happening currently in your life. So listen within, be courageous, and take steps to move forward. So I hope this is useful for you. Now we also moved into Aries, and Aries has a different energy. So it's said to be the start of the year in the astrological year. So this gives us that other energy, that drive to move forward with those new projects and those new ideas. So I hope this is helpful for you, and I see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.